being eager to want to grow as a coach, to want to teach young men to be better men and better players, and let them win at something in life. A lot of kids, they hadn't won a state championship, been a part of something special for us winning. And, the thing about it, I tell basketball is supposed to be like life lessons. Playing basketball is supposed to help you with life skills. If you win and compete in everything in sports, you're going to do the same thing in classrooms. You're going to want to make the best grades. When you outside of basketball, if you go to college, you're going to want to make the best grades. You're going to always compete. The guys that work hard are the ones that get promoted.
Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Today we are joined by the head boys basketball coach at James Madison High School, Gerald Smith. Coach Smith is in his 18th year of coaching and his first as a head coach. He spent time as an assistant coach at Pinkston High School and most recently as an assistant for his brother, Kimball head coach Nick Smith, who won the 5A state title in 2023 and led his team to a state runner-up finish in 2021 and a state semifinal appearance in 2022. As the head coach at James Madison, Coach Smith takes over a program with a rich history, winning 5 state championships, most recently in 2022. Before we hear from Coach, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at JAMODI Podcast.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Scoreboard Media. Scoreboard Media works with high schools across the country to run professional sponsorship programs on their LED scoreboards. Whether you already have LED and you just want to supercharge the revenue, or you want to use sponsorship revenue to buy new LED video scoreboards, Scoreboard Media can help. They work with sponsors and advertisers locally, regionally, and nationally who want to connect with your school's community. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to start the conversation and see what's possible.
How you doing?
Coach, what's going on, man?
Man, doing pretty good.
Awesome. I just thank you so much for giving up your time, coming on and talking hoops with me. I'm excited about this.
I am too. And I just want to say I appreciate you inviting me on as well.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to your brother, Coach Smith, for making the introduction. And I had such a blast getting to talk hoops with him and go out and see his guys. I guess that was last fall. And I just think he's one of the best in DFW. So when he said I needed to have a talk with you, man, I have to follow that advice, right?
Right. He's a smart guy.
That's right. So, man, going from Kimball, working with him and how you guys having so much success, to now Madison, which for those of us that have been in Dallas-Fort Worth for a long time, that's one of the most storied programs in DFW. So much success in the 90s, 2000s, probably even before that. But how's that been?
One thing I can say is it's been really fun learning more and more about the history. I actually moved here in the Dallas to the Dallas area back in 2000. So I've been able to follow the progress of the team for the championships, the winning culture. A lot of that was started with Coach Ellis, and then after that, Coach Mobley came in, and he had a really good tenure while he was there being the head coach. So my main thing is just making sure that I keep that same success, establishing that going forward, making sure the players really understand. And when I say I love it, it's the most that I always hear from the fans when we go on state. That's the first thing they want to know. That's all they talk about. Other than that, that's the only thing that matters.
I've got to imagine that's just a different feeling than most coaches that are taking over a program, getting a starting somewhere. Most of the time it's because maybe it hasn't gone that well. Sometimes a coach can leave for something better and leaves it in a good place. Like they were 20-12 last year, 11-1 in district, correct? So but you're coming in with into a program where expectations aren't just to have fun and have a lot of numbers, like it might be at another place the culture's been down. Like you said, what's it like coming in with that type of, not pressure, I don't look at it that way, and I doubt you do, but I guess expectation.
Well, the expectation is one to make sure that we're making these young men into great student athletes. Two, getting them ready to, if they plan on playing college basketball, getting them to be coachable and buying in and just coming in working hard. When I say it's not really pressure, it's the expectation. The expectation is always at a high standard. So one thing that I can say is when I was offered the position, I pretty much told them that, it's my job to keep that example, that expectation, the standard, the tradition, and embrace the culture more than anything. It has been sometimes, I'll come home and I'll think about it. I'm like, man, I really gotta push it
Yeah.
if we're trying to make these young men into great basketball players. So I won't say that it's a lot of pressure, but I do say that the expectation is there and the standard is there. I just need to make sure that I uphold to it and keep my end of it as a head coach to make sure that we're making the right strides in our workouts all season. During the season, we need to make sure that we're doing things that we need to do as a staff to put the young men in the right place to be successful.
I think every coach has to show up each day giving their very, very best for their program. I would imagine when the players, the parents, the administration, when the culture is we win and we make deep runs, and that's what we're about. Man, what a great motivation to show up and be your best every day. Because I'm not saying that coaches that maybe are at a program that doesn't have a winning tradition, that they have days where they don't have to be their best. I don't think that standard really matters, but the motivation to be that, to bring that every day, man, I could see that for you for sure.
Yeah. Being eager to want to grow as a coach, to want to teach young men to be better men and better players, and let them win at something in life. A lot of kids, they hadn't won a state championship, been a part of something special for us winning. And, the thing about it, I tell basketball is supposed to be like life lessons. Playing basketball is supposed to help you with life skills. If you win and compete in everything in sports, you're going to do the same thing in classrooms. You're going to want to make the best grades. When you outside of basketball, if you go to college, you're going to want to make the best grades. You're going to always compete. The guys that work hard are the ones that get promoted. That's what I always tell them. If you're working for someone and you're just doing what's required, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get promoted. The guy that goes beyond what's being asked of him, he's the one that gets promoted.
Man, what a great reminder to continue to connect basketball to off the floor skills, successes. I think I've been guilty so much of, like, we get 43 minutes a day for skill work in our athletic period. And I'm so guilty at times of just coming in and it just being all about the ball, all about the game. And then there are moments where, and I'm not trying to, toot my own horn here, but this morning there was an NHS induction, National Honor Society, and we had 5 basketball players that were a part of that. And it would have been really easy for me just to, hey, like, that was in the morning, we're in basketball, hey, let's pray, break, let's get out of here. But we did celebrate those guys. We took a picture with them. We'll put that on social media, and it's something that has nothing to do with how good of a player they are. I'm telling you that as I think I failed in that a lot. Maybe today was a win, but for your program, you want it to be more than just about basketball. And it sounds like, man, you're doing an awesome job with that.
Yes. Well, that's one thing that when they hired Miss Willard and Coach Gates, when they hired me, as well as Mr. Wright, you're a student first, then you're athlete second. You're not doing basketball 12 hours out of the day. You're in the classroom longer than you are at a workout or practice. So I always just try to let them know that I want them to strive for greatness. We talked about this the other day. Better, good, great. When you think about better, you already know it's something that you need to do what? You need to work on. When you become good, okay, you know what? I've reached a plateau, but now we want to be great. So we want to do what? We want to master something. So I tell the guys all the time, if you have that mindset, I don't think you will fail. But if you have low expectations, well, that's going to carry you throughout life to where you're just going to always just really not have high expectations. I want everybody to have high expectations. I ask all the guys to at least have an 85 average or above. And, I know that's not going to happen all the time, but, we make sure that kids have study hall once a week. They have to do progress. We do progress tracking with the grades. I go around every day on my planning period to go by and talk to teachers. I stick my hand in those classrooms, say, hey, I point at him. How is he? Coach, he's doing fine. Great. Well, how's he doing? Well, coach, he's been talking a little bit, and I just kind of give him that stare. They kind of know what that means. That's
You don't want that stare to turn into something else.
Right. But at the end of the day, at the close of any of our workouts, when I'm talking to those players, the last thing I tell them before we leave is that I love them. I love them. And I said, whatever that we do in here working out is never personal. It's only to make you better.
That's really good. I kind of zoomed in right now because I think that is something that we say it. You can say I love you, but our actions have to show that, because the words, they'll fall flat after a little while, especially if our actions don't line up. To me, a big difference between having a bunch of rules in your program and then having standards. Rules, man, people want to break those. Like I tell the guys all the time, I hate stop signs. I think stop signs are dumb. I think they should all be yield signs. Like, I'm an adult. I can just kind of see nothing and just glide through. But you know what? Those stop signs are there, and I better follow those rules. But my heart wants to break them. Standards, though, are things that we are trying to achieve, and that a level that we're trying to get to and uphold. And I think if you would say everybody has, like, I guess UIL says this, everybody has to pass to play. Guys, if you're not passing, you're not going to play. Like, I get that, but that means that 71, 72, like some guys are just trying to get that 69.9 so the teacher rounds up. Like that's a low bar. Coach, you say 85 and above, and you're sticking your head in the classes and you're holding them accountable. That's a high standard. And even if they fall short of that, they're still way above the bare minimum that I think rules that kind of culture creates, in my opinion.
And this is what I tell them. I said, when you're getting recruited by a college coach, he already knows that you can play. That's why he's at the school. And when he comes in, the first thing, if he hadn't already received it, he's going to want one. And if he sees that your transcript is full of C's, well, he's going to ask, well, coach, what's going on? Is he missing a lot of days of school? Or you don't want to be not able to attend a certain university based off of your academic standpoint. Now, everybody can't get into a Vanderbilt or a Yale or Brown, places like that. You have certain schools where certain admissions that they have to go through certain requirements you have to meet in order to get accepted. Well, I wouldn't want one of our student athletes to be, not selected to a certain university to receive the basketball scholarship due to the fact that he does not have the academic standpoint that he needs to be accepted in admissions.
That's a really good point. And I think letting our players know, one, the extreme game of musical chairs that college basketball is. I've told guys there's one chair and there's 75 people walking around it. And when that music stops, only one dude's getting that chair. That's an extreme game. And you want to have all of the doors open and as many possibilities open as possible. And I think the thing that closes doors more is the academic side. I'm at a small Christian private school where majority of guys that come here, the place that they're really looking to play are the high academic D3 NAIAs. But even like at that point, they have to have their grades at a certain level or else those doors are closed. And I think what a great goal is to let your players know that they want to have the most opportunities.
Well, and speaking of what you talked about Division III as well as NAIA, and even some Division II schools, sometimes, a coach will say, hey, I have a partial basketball scholarship. Coach, what is his grades? What are his grades like? Maybe we can get him something academically. And guess what? A lot of times his grades might not be where they need to be. And that's a hurtful feeling. Yeah. And that's why, I explained to them, I said, when you go to college, whatever grade you make, it stays on your transcript. It's no moving that off. I said in high school, you can retake that course and they go with a higher grade. and that other grade that you made falls off. So I said it's really good to start off with a great academic foundation and, wanting to, and having structure when it comes to your education, going to study hall. And this is the reason why that we implemented this. They've been doing it previously before I even became the head coach here at the great James Madison High School. So, the structure of that for the academic base has been set. I can't recall them losing an athlete to academic reasons for his ineligibility, for his not meeting the requirements of UIL. But to piggyback what you talked about, every kid's not going to make an 85. I'm a realist. I was not good at math. Algebra was not my geometry. That was something that I was not really good at. So like I tell, just do your best, make sure that you pass that course. And, most kids will let you know, like, hey, coach, that's not my strongest subject.
Yeah. But that's what John Wooden said. I think he nailed it with his definition of success. It's not getting to 85 all the time, but it's that peace of mind knowing that you did your very, very best. But again, I don't feel like players get to that point if the standards aren't that high. And what we're really talking about, coach, is being truth tellers. We're not just telling them, hey, stay eligible so you play, so you can play this year. And that's a set. However you can do that, just make it happen. That's short term. And what I believe will happen for a lot of guys is one of the worst things as a parent, worst thing as a coach is when you see your players have regret that they did, because there is a point in this, like maybe from day to day, you can make adjustments with your shot. You can get in the weight room and that can fluctuate over time, but you can't go back when you're a junior and redo things as a freshman. You can't go back as a senior and increase your GPA. Like you can't, there's no time machine. And that, man, seeing that regret in those players, like that's motivation in me to be a truth teller, because I don't want them to have regret or one day even say like, coach, I wish I would have known.
Yeah. And that's what happens a lot of times. Previous players that I've coached in the past, they always come back like, oh man, and it normally happens in their late 20s.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, oh coach, I should have did this, I should have did that. And that's why I constantly remind these guys, man, these years are going to go by fast in high school.
Yeah.
Do your best, make the best of it. What are you going to be able to tell your children about your high school, about what you did and accomplished academically or as well as athletically? Everybody's not an athlete, but guess what? You can make good grades, run for student council. It's so many different things that you can do within the school. Even if you're not an outgoing person like that, you still should be trying to set the bar high for yourself to make good grades. And like you said, the academic standpoint, I don't think kids understand how important it is. Because even when you go to college, you have so much structure, you really don't have a lot of free time. I say all this freedom that you have right now in high school, you don't have that. Your day is mapped out for you. 6 o'clock weight room, 7 o'clock breakfast, 8 o'clock class, 9 o'clock class, 11 o'clock, you might go to study hall. After study hall, guess what? You have lunch. Then you might have an evening class. Then coach calls practice. Then you have film. Then you might have to go to another study session, one-on-one tutoring. Well, about time you make it back to the dorm is what? 8:30, 9 o'clock. And you have to repeat that all over again. So I ask them all the time, do you actually want to play college basketball?
Are you ready to level up your team's skill development? Well, Bology is here to support you in driving accountability and skill development. The Bology app is more than just tracking. It's a resource for enhancing skills, knowledge, and mindset across your program. Join coaches all across the country using Bology to simplify training and empower your athletes. Let's build consistency, accountability, and skill development together.
That's a great question. I think that sounds nice. Man, I can't remember who said it. Somebody loves the idea of being a basketball player rather
It sounds good.
than what it takes. Yeah, it's
I had one of my players tell me, I asked him, I said, what do you want to get out of this? Like, what do you want from basketball? I said, I just want to know. And he was like, well, coach, I want to go to college, and hopefully play professionally and make some money for my parents and be able to take care of myself and help my grandma. And you know what I told him? Man, that sounds really good. Sounds like it's been rehearsed. You got it down to a T, but do you know what comes along with all of that? The responsibility. If you don't want to get up now and be at morning workouts, how are you going to be able to do it in college? You're just not you're not going to flip that light switch on when you get to college. I said, what's going to happen if you don't correct these things that you're doing now? When you get to college, you get in the doghouse with that coach,
Yeah.
and you never get out of it. Even if players get hurt, they'll play walk-ons in front of you just because they're just like, you know what, I can't trust them. And if a coach can't trust you, he cannot play you.
That's really good. And I was thinking about you're talking about the structure of college, and I think that's one way that the high school coach is still really valuable and involved with that recruiting process. And I mean, the select world that's really important, and those coaches do an awesome job of making those connections for players. That's when they're out and about and they're seeing them the most. And I got seen back in the day with the Fort Worth Lions that don't exist anymore. But, so it definitely serves a purpose. But the high school coach, after like you said, after they've seen you play, all right, I need to know if this kid can survive in this environment with the structure, with being to places on time. What's his tardy slip like? Like, is he late every day? What are his absences like? Like, is he in trouble a lot at school? Or that's where they're still going to come to the high school coach to ask, because it's the closest thing to their environment that there is. And like you said, they already know he can play, but now can he actually exist here? And so I still see value in us and in high school basketball for that.
Yeah, because you got to think about this. How many college coaches go to AAU practice? None. They only see them in the.
That's a good point.
When they come to a high school workout, they want to see what? If you're first, if you're second, win second, if you're going hard in every drill, if you're the first one to sprint up there when it's something that when coach calls out, hey, give me 4 guys out on the court right now. Are you paying attention? Are you coaching your teammates up? Are you having a lot of energy? That's one thing that we put into our culture over at Madison. I make the players cheer for each other for everything. The whole entire time. The whole time. They're cheering for each other because I tell them this. How can you cheer for someone in a game and you don't cheer for them in practice? See, what I want to do is cut out that guy that may be feeling some type of way because he might not get the minutes that he's getting. And he might not be as good as the person that's starting or the guy that's in front of him. But the thing about it is, if you're patient and you have a great attitude and you're a good teammate, good things will happen for you. I tell them all the time. I say, do you think when Kevin Durant and James Harden were playing together, you think Kevin Durant was hollering at James Harden to pass him the ball? No, they're grown men. They would go up and have a conversation. Hey, I'm open. I feel I can take this guy, man. I'm gonna come off this double stagger. I'll be wide open. Make sure you hit me, all right? And they move on from it. And that's the thing about, just being a good teammate. I just really feel if you do that, everybody's not going to play a bunch of minutes. But when your time is called, if you have the right attitude, you will be productive. But if you're over there with that bad attitude, man, coach is not playing me, look at the opportunity he gets. Well, when you get in, you're not going to be successful. So I just thrive on them being good teammates, understanding how to communicate with each other. Men have to be able to communicate. We have to be able to do that.
Coach, I don't think I've ever made that connection like you did with having that spirit and energy, the celebrations happening in practice, and connecting to how they do it in a game. So a great example is like one of our standards is we celebrate every wide open 3 that we take. Not make, but takes. Every time like one of our guys pull it, you'll see our bench all stand up, but that's a game standard. I don't know if I do a good job of connecting it to practice. Today we were doing a 4-on-3 passing drill where 2 alleys, 2 corners, 3 defenders, a 2-sided drill. 3 defenders are working on, you're down a guy, the ball's moving and you got to react. You got to make it work. We're Xing out, we're closing out, we're trying to get deflections. We're just fixing problems. Offensively, we can't dribble, and we're just trying to move it faster than they can move, and what one of our standards is offensively to make the ball work. And so when we're just making the ball work and we're trying to find the open guy because the open guy is the most dangerous guy on the floor and we shoot it, I watched today, even on a made shot, quiet players. We rotate. They're working hard, coach. Like they're getting after, they're doing everything, but there's no spirit or enthusiasm. Why would I expect it to happen in a game, especially when feelings are hurt, when people are in them? You think I'm just going to magically like, hey, what about our culture? Well, coach, they should say this. Well, coach, we don't do that in practice, so why do we do it? Man, I think that's a really good nugget, coach.
I want guys to be able to say, hey, coach, hey, man, Brian is really, he's making some shots tonight, coach. Let's keep running everything through him. They understand everybody's got a night to where their number is going to be called, and they're going to have a game like that. Because I said, any coach is going to game plan for players. Any coach is going to game plan for them. So, just that night, it might be a night to help us lead us to a win. So everybody's got a game in them. But, I learned that I talked to some coaches at TCU, Coach Bedford, and, we've gone down to U of H. We've watched their practices and over to SMU when they had Rob Lanier over there. And I just saw the energy from the assistant coaches, and the players, the GAs, to the student managers, to where how much energy they bring. And that's what I tell my coaches. Hey, when I send out a text, let's make sure we have a lot of energy. Let's make sure we coaching these guys up. Hey, if we have to correct them, let's make sure, man, the correction is under 20 seconds so we don't cut into the time. Because we have a practice routine that we're following, going through. Hey, man, we're going through our stations. Boom, 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 boom. We're in and out. And that's kind of how I want it. In the morning time we lift, evening time we run. We watch a lot of film with these guys from the previous year when they played. And we talk about some things that just need to be corrected. Like I told them this year, my philosophy would make me a really, really good coach at Kimball. The way I game plan, I help Nick game plan. I took a football approach because I coached football for years too. So most kids have a low attention span. They can't watch an hour and a half of film. Okay. So right now I'm telling you my cheat code. I don't know how many people go.
Let's go.
I know my brother probably would get mad with me telling him this. But when we used to do film, I would get 4 or 5 games of the team that we're playing. And I would do a count of how many of the times they run this one play. And that will let me know if that's their bread and butter. That's their main thing that they're going to go to. Also, I look at how many times they make wing passes to the right, how many times they make wing passes to the left. So if they're making 75% of their passes to the right, that lets me know that guard likes going to the right. I'm also going to watch and see if you backdoor. If you never backdoor, we're going to jump every one of those wing passes over and over and over until that coach tells you to go backdoor. So all players are going to get a cut up. They're going to get a highlight of all the plays that they run. And it's going to be snippets. And they're going to get the guy that they're guarding that night. They're going to get a 4-minute cut up of all the moves that he likes doing. Then when we come back in practice, we're going to run the same sets. They're going to have the same jerseys on, and our players are going to mimic the same way that player's playing in that starting. So that always gave us an edge. We learned how to blow up plays.
Yeah.
And we're going to take this away. They'll never get into it. I don't want the point guard bringing the ball up. He brings the ball up 90% of the time of the game. Let's make the 3 bring it up. He's a scorer, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to let him bring it up. He's going to get frustrated. He's just going to get out of character and just throw the whole offense off. So those are things that I kind of took when I was at Kimball. We went down to U of H, and I learned so much from Coach Sampson and some of the things that they were doing. Then I learned a lot of stuff from Greg Marshall when he was coaching in Wichita State. And I just take stuff from bits and pieces of coaches, and then I put it all together on how we need to be doing our defense. Because, I did the defense for years over there with my brother. I was fortunate enough for him to let me do those things. And, no middle. We have so many drills. I remember he hired a coach, Coach Douglas. And he said, man, how many defensive drills do you have? I said, probably 50 or 60. He was like, seriously. I said, no, I got drills for days. Because you don't want kids to get bored. If you keep doing the same drill every day, they get what? Bored. So that's kind of my cheat code. I can go on and on about it. I know my brother's probably like, no, don't say that, man. People gonna know now. That's how they gonna start game planning. You find more football teams doing that, where everything is so data driven. Like I'm so big on right, left, who's catching it. We got to take this guy out. We got to force this guy to catch the ball every time. When he does catch it, jump trap him every time. I don't care who's out there jump trap. If we know a kid is a really good scorer and he's crafty, like when we played, what's the kid, Nick Smith Jr. He's actually right. I think he plays for the New Orleans Hornets right now. It was a first-round pick. Nick Smith Jr. was averaging 30 points a game. We held him to 13. So what we did was, instead of jump trap him hard, we did a soft jump trap. If he wanted to bring it up, and he was bringing it up every time, soft jump trap just to make him pass. Then when he get in the half court, hard deny. But the coach didn't realize if your kid is getting face guarded, you know the best thing to always do? Make him go screen for someone. Nobody ever thinks about that.
A lot there, man. And I do appreciate you sharing that. You know what I've learned from doing this for about 3 years now, not occasionally, often I realize, golly, I don't know a lot. I realize that quite a bit. But two, that I don't think I do things as intentionally as, and I think in the area of film, I need to be more intentional. I need to be more organized instead of just being lazy and say, hey, we're going to watch a quarter here.
Well, with this, I'll tell you, we do cut-ups. I can't sit here and I can't sit here and tell you that we were watching 35, 40 minutes worth of film. Because kids will get to doing what? Looking, getting like this, head turning sideways. So we saw that during the cut-ups, but it'll be the cut-up of the same thing several times throughout games. And they'll be like, okay, that's what they're running. All right, well, we're good. Now you get a chance to see their transition offense. You get a chance to see their transition defense. If the transition defense is not good, this is what we're going to exploit right now. Every time we play them, that ball should be going in the post because the 5 guy, he's not getting back. So guess what? He's going to have a guard pick him up. So it's a quick dump down there. Do not shoot the 3, throw it in the post as quick as you possibly can. By doing that, just as a coach, I always wanted to get better. And I always wanted to grow as a coach. I just have this mindset is you can't be a great coach or a good coach if you're not open to learning. And also, too, you got to change. I can't think of his name right now, but he's the new head coach at SMU and a boys basketball coach. And he came and spoke at one of our professional developments for basketball coaches in Dallas ISD. And I asked him, I said, Coach, I raised my hand. I said, Coach, I have a question. And he was like, yeah, Coach, go ahead. I said, are you open to changing your offensive philosophy to cater to the players that you have for that year? He said, Coach, that's a really good question. He said, when I was at Florida Gulf Coast, we were running and gunning, throwing alley-oops, shooting threes, playing at a high pace. He said the next year, man, I had some grad transfers come in over the next 2 years. And he said, guess what? They were traditional post guys, but they can go get you 18 and 19 tonight. He said, so guess what we were doing? Throwing it down in there to him. He said, we tried to do, play fast and, really push the ball. About time they crossed half court, the ball was coming right back. He said, so it wasn't benefiting them. So, and that's what I just had to say to myself sometimes, you have to be open to change as a coach. All players are different. You have to coach them sometimes differently. You can have a standard on towards your expectations of them, but sometimes you may have to pull them to the side and talk to them. But, I always say this, if you establish what their role is on the team early, because the guys kind of think I'm kind of crazy, and I tell them I'm OCD. Every day after we get through lifting weights, I ask them what's their role. I go down the list. What's your role? What's your role? What's your role? And the reason why I do that is when you're in the car with your mom and dad and y'all have those discussions, you can tell what's your role and what is the team identity. I said, if you do those things, I don't have to worry about having parent meetings.
Yeah.
I don't, because you've already told them. But I know that's going to happen, and that's part of it. And and just to piggyback off parent meetings, I've always had this philosophy. When they interviewed me for the Madison job, they asked me, how would I handle a parent meeting? I said, I want all kids to play. I'm not in the business to stop kids from playing. But one thing that I want your child to be is successful when he gets in. I don't want him to get in and he's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or he feels like he's hurting the team. Every kid wants to play, but I want him to be able to put him in to where he's joyful about the time that he got. And he also got a chance to do what? Enjoy it and play hard. But, if I'm just putting players in the game, just say I'm playing 15 guys a night, winning is important. I said, but this isn't AAU where you're paying to play. This isn't Pop Warner. This right here, you have to try out for your high school team. You have to try out. So the expectations are there. And I talk to these guys about that all the time. If you want to play more, do something so I can keep you on the court. That's all I ask. And then guess what? I tell them these three things. If you can make a wide open shot, you can defend, and you can make the right pass, it's really hard for me to take you off the court and rebound.
Good recipe right there. Yeah.
And I say nothing said about what creating a shot. It's about making the open. If you're open, you can make it.
You mean I don't have to put it down 15 times and then go?
Man, I blow the whistle. So even they do open gym every day. They play and I'm just sitting in the stands watching it. And once I get fed up, I blow the whistle and just say, hey man, 3 dribbles. Y'all just do 3. Do 3. I can't stand to watch that,
Yes.
Because no one's the defense is just sitting there looking at you like, what are you going to do? And then guess what? You're getting tired. I learned my lesson as a sophomore in varsity starting. I was so tired, and my head coach was like, man, you're dribbling the air out of the ball. You're tired. Advance the ball. Answer it. So when I started advancing it, I saw in the fourth quarter, the last 3 minutes, I had a lot more energy left versus pounding on the ball, bringing it up the whole time, wanting to constantly have the ball in my hand versus trusting my teammates and letting them make plays too.
I want our guys to do easy things and to stay away from hard. And I always ask them, what's harder? One attack move where you're decisive and you either take that advantage or transfer, or multiple counters back and forth. And they're like the simple or the one move. And I was like, yeah, what you're doing seems hard. And then I try to explain to them too, hard typically turns to turnovers, becomes a turnover, a missed opportunity, or a tough shot. Choosing easy is definitely something we have to emphasize. And Coach, you really went through like 3 or 4 great things that I don't want to miss out on. I want to go back. So first is you talked to the SMU coach about, are you willing to change? Phenomenal question that you asked him. And if you would have talked to me let's be honest, 6 or 7 years ago, I would have said, no, I'm not going to change what I do for my players. They're going to have to figure it out. And the danger of system versus concepts. If you are system-based, this is like my 3 years in college. First 3 years, we ran flex. And it didn't matter who we were or what we had. We had Lawrence Roberts. He was a pro, and we ran flex. And the only way we ever got him the ball on the block is if I saw the switch and I cut flex off and I dribbled back over and I entered it in. But you can run that system and you can be stubborn, or you can have concepts. And concepts, the great thing about it is concepts can flow in and out of different continuities, different ways of playing. So a concept for us is the open man must receive the ball. It sounds really simple, but you and I both are like, as a coach, do you not see him? He's right there. Like you hear those things all the time, or players and parents pointing at a guy. Well, is the concept in your program that he is the most dangerous? If that's not talked about, then a player's going to rather pound it than move it to that dangerous open player. But that concept right there, Coach, I don't care what you run. Forget, hey, we're running thumbs down. Well, what if 1 or 2 passes in, a guy's wide open, most dangerous player, go there. See, so I think that's what we need to be, concept-based, careful about being system-based.
You know what? I wanted to tell you something that I learned from you, and I use it to this day. Single gap, double gap, triple gap. Man, those kids will tell you, I'll be in film. What gap is that? That's a single gap. Can you drive in a single gap? No. That's a double. That's cut through. Why did you not drive? Why did you not drive? That is several things I learned from you when you came and worked with us that year, last season. And I still have that stuff recorded on my phone. I was
Nice. All things borrowed. All things borrowed from me. I've learned from other guys, but that idea of again, especially if you're flowing or you're just in a attacking in transition or in a continuity or even out of play. Somebody said this the other day. They said, "Don't forget to grab the gold while you're running plays, or hunt for gold or something like that." Like the whole idea is don't forget to score while you're still running a play. And sometimes you'll see a guy catch it and there's a huge gap and he's a playmaker and he could take it, but he's running action. He's running the action that coach wants. But that idea of passing through single gaps, attacking double gaps, they have to be able to recognize that past level 1, which is that defender right in front of them, and eyes up to level 2, which is where are those defenders? Where's my teammate? That was a fun day, man. I drove away from that going, I can't believe I just got to work with those guys.
super athletic. I'm talking about super athletic. Those run, jump, dunk, shoot. They pretty much, do it all, man. It was just fun learning something new. The terminology that you were using, I picked up on it. I was like, okay, he's right. That's a single cap. You can't drive from that at all.
And we ask them to sometimes, like, be aggressive, attack, make something happen. There's no space. Yeah. Coach Rob Robinson, he is at Maricosta, and he has a shirt, and it says NASA equals buckets, space equals buckets. And that's what that really, I feel like the best offenses, the best players understand how to use open space.
That's what the NBA game is based off of, and that's why I say, you know why so many wide open 3-point shots in the NBA? Because of spacing.
Yeah.
3-pointers, hips, everything is spaced. No, it's all running. They're not running box sets and stuff like that offensively. There's no space. Everything is cut, read, react. They take this away. Guess what? Tight curl. And I said, the thing about it is, man, like, I love basketball. I love watching college basketball. I like NBA. But I'm just like a super fan of high school basketball. Like, I really like watching high school basketball.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here.
You also talked about role identification, and I do think that is one of the biggest struggles for coaches because we love these kids, we want them to feel valued, and we don't want to hurt feelings. I don't think, and you said it too, you told us, like, guys, it's not personal. Anything we talk about isn't personal. This is you as a basketball player trying to get better. Love you as the person, as a basketball player trying to get better, but being open and honest with their roles. So either you do that through one-on-one meetings, but I think even more impactful when this is a group discussion, when, hey, no secrets here. We need to know what each other's roles are and how we all contribute to the success of this team. I think as a coach, you got to have, maybe the word is guts, but the strength, the confidence to have those open conversations.
Well, you like to have them before. One thing you want to do is before you even do any drills, pick up a basketball, you want to already have that conversation because you'll have some guys get out of character doing some stuff that, guess what, they weren't told that they shouldn't be doing. So, sometimes you can let a monster get created and then you try to stop it. And then the kid's saying, well, you messing my game up. Well, you changing out of the way I play. I'm not changing the way you play. I'm trying to get you to play the right way within what we do here. I always tell them, it's us and we versus them. If you think about I and me, we're going to lose. I said us and we versus them, we will be fine. But, I had a kid here recently, he's one of my best shooters. He wanted to do a lot of dribbling. And I told him, I said, I don't really need you doing that to really, really help the team. You're the best shooter. I need you running off staggers. I need you getting open, telling these guys, hey, come give me one, set a screen. Well, he continued to want to keep doing that. And I just pulled them in and said, hey, this is the way it's going to go. I've already told you. You can either be a knockdown shooter and you probably get X amount of minutes, or you can just get in where you fit in, man. It's up to you. I mean, I'm trying to give you a specific role to where you most kids, if they have the green light from the three that you say, coach, anytime I catch it and that guy's under the 3-point line, pull it, they'll be like, you got it.
Yep. Coach, I'm good.
But
But you know what? That's human nature, though. It's human nature, though. Yeah. Coach, thanks for letting me do this. But you know what? He gets to do that. I want to do that. I thought so much of this is parenting. So much of this is setting those clear expectations and guardrails for their success. And that's where, like, I think you framed it right, is this is for your good, for you to be the best player. And because there's these two tracks, right, Coach? Like, we want the player track is what they want. They want to be a good player on your team. They want to win, but also they have these aspirations, some of them after. So that track's going. And then you've got your team track. I'm opposed to this track smashes that track down. You know, my college coach used to say, hey, it's Baylor and it's you. Do you see the difference? I was like, yeah, okay, got it. Like, I understand. But, Coach, what if we are both moving along? This is the best for you, but this also helps us win. I think that's a good way to frame it.
Yeah, the program, I always tell them, I said, man, think about the program. The program as a whole. I said it takes everybody, all stakeholders, for us to be successful. That comes from administration. That comes from teachers. Everybody is up under this one umbrella. And I said the thing about it is, if we're doing what we're supposed to do, we should be successful. And I tell them all the time, I say, I said my expectations are high, but I said, it's nothing wrong, you having a coach that wants to set high expectations for you. Like, I mean, they run, all of them are in cross country right now. So they run cross country, getting in, and like I was telling them, I said, during the season, you can't run like that. You'll be burnt out.
Yeah.
This is your time to get that in now. I said, so, I always pick their brains. I said, how many miles do you think some of these NBA players run? They were like, maybe a mile or two. I said, some of them run 5 to 7 miles. They're jogging because they're building up their wind, they're building up their stamina. So, and I know this was probably off the subject, but we talk about, so I said, what's the difference between super max players, and just players in the NBA? Well, they're flying out all kind of answers. I said, a super max player treats the job of basketball like a real job. He's in the gym 3 to 4 times a day. He's watching film. He's eating right. His body is his temple. His body is his money. He thinks about his body. He thinks about everything that he does before he does anything because he's thinking about what? His job. He has to be the best at all times. The max guy, he's in the gym probably twice a day. He goes and works out, but he's probably not spending much money. Like the super max guy has a trainer. He's spending a bunch of money.
Yeah, LeBron, $1.5 million on his body a year. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guys that are just in the NBA, you just find them doing what? Role players. And it's nothing wrong with being that. But then they just float around different teams, and sometimes you end up being what? Pushed on out the NBA, and somebody else younger steps in and can do the same thing that you do. So I just told them, if you're really, really serious about this, you have to put in the work. We watch a lot of Kobe Bryant deals on, I pull stuff up, let him see his quotes and stuff that he's saying and the things that he talks about being in the gym 8 hours a day. I said, how many of y'all can do that? A few of them raised their hand. I was like, man, y'all do that one day. And
that's
like,
right.
All right.
They like the idea of it, Coach, but not
sounds good.
Execute. Sounds good. Dave Love is a NBA shooting coach, and he's been with the Magic. He's been with a couple teams, and we were having a hoops talk, and he mentioned, he's like, Matt, you have no idea how hard these NBA guys work. He's like, there's no days off. He's like, he said with the Magic, we had to mandate to them, you are not allowed to come into the gym. And he said, you know what? Some of them still found a way to get into the gym, or they went other places. It's like these guys, but he also said there's even levels though inside of that. Like some guy, like the baseline NBA player does work hard, but there's levels. It's kind of what you're talking about. And I love that you brought up the term stakeholders. That's something that Tyler Costin talked about, and I really think it's a good idea for us to consider as coaches all of the stakeholders in the player's life or in the program, like you said. I think I tend to only focus on me and the player. We're the two stakeholders that I care the most about. Well, I better care about what that parent is saying and how they feel, or the messages they receive, to the point. Better care about what the administration and the teachers think, because they're stakeholders in this too. They control whether he plays or whether, how this goes. And then you got the select coaches and you got the training. Like, there's so many voices that we have to be conscious of. And so the more that we can bring everybody in on this thing, I think early on as younger coach, my walls were up. I will do anything for you as a player. I don't give a crap about all these other people. That's not how this is going to work anymore. We have to try to control the narrative, the way that the player is thinking, but also like the messages that are being sent and received. I just think it's a good way to look at it.
Oh, yeah. And the thing about it, you got to think about this, Coach. Social media has changed everything now with coaching. Everything. It's, just with athletics, period, just in life, period. Social media, everybody's looking here, looking there, seeing what other people are always doing. And that's one thing that I'm going to have to get used to, is people actually filming me and recording me and watching me the entire time. When I was over there at Nick, I just might get up and whisper in his ear something and just sit back.
Hey, this is all on you, but what do you think about this?
Turn back and he'll say something to me that wouldn't be real nice. And I'm like, man, I'm going to fix it at halftime. I said, don't burn the time out, man, to try to fix it. It's 2 minutes left. We'll fix it at halftime.
That's so good. You're right, though. I like in our athletic period, I like to take photos of the guys doing stuff, some videos of the guys. I don't want to be a part of any of that. And I know it's kind of funny. I'm doing this. Hopefully coaches feel this way. Like, I'm not doing this for me. I mean, part of it is like, I want to learn from you. I want to know the stuff that you do, and I want to learn from all these other coaches. And I also want to celebrate coaches like you that do amazing things that don't always. There's some coaches all throughout Texas that you never hear of or don't get a platform, but they do awesome stuff. So let's grow the game and share it. But I do struggle on social media or anything like that. But you gotta almost look at it as, nowadays, what if there may be a camera on? Like, what if we always coach as if we're being filmed? We'll probably be more positive. We'll probably teach more and yell less, and probably say less things that we regret.
Yeah. You know what? You're absolutely right. Like that, when you have that eye on you, you will change quickly. You will change and do everything the right way and correctly at that time. Is when I say he's good at it, he's been mic'd up, but he's been doing this for so long. So I know that's going to be something that's new for me. That's why I just hope the band can be there at a lot of games so they don't get a chance to hear what I say. We got as much noise as possible. Turn it out, play as loud as you possibly can.
That's right.
A lot of times, you could draw X and O's all you want to. The guys still have to go out there and play hard.
Yes.
I always say this. You have some coaches that are great X and O guys, and you have coaches that are motivators. To me, Dale Brown was a motivator. Dale Brown could really, really get guys playing. He could recruit. He had some good guys down there with him. Johnny Jones was there and some other guys. I said, Coach Calipari, I think his system, and I think he's a great motivator. I think he knows how to bring it out. I mean, he probably could sell a cookie to an ant, and he's probably cool if the ant had money. But I'm just, it's like he has the gift of the gab. He has that. Now, you can sit here and some people try to fault him and say, well, man, he's had X, Y, Z, so many first rounders, and he hadn't been past this. He can't play for them.
Sure. Yeah.
I tell the guys all the time, I can't rebound for you. I can't run the floor for you. I can't make a pass for you. All I can do as a coach is try to put you in the right positions to be successful. And so you have to go out there and play. Just have fun, man. If you're overthinking it and you're playing mad, you're not going to have a good time. I want guys to be tough, but I don't want you playing mad and angry. Like that's going to hurt the team and the program. But I've seen some guys in the past get mad, man, and get all kind of rebounds and crashing boards. And do her thing. But that's rare though, because most kids don't know how to control their emotions when they get like that. Guys that are in college and then in pros, well, they've been through some things and they kind of know. Like Michael Jordan, if you said something to Mike got mad, what happened? That's going to be a long night.
About to score 45. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach K said that anger is good, and he wants his players to have anger, but it has to be used the right way. And so many times anger is destructive and it is negative. But what if you could use it? Like you turn the ball over, and there's a great clip of Blake Griffin back in the day, turned it over and sprints so hard behind the guy and goes and pins it on the glass. That's anger used the right way. You go up for a layup, you miss it, but man, you get angry, you go get that thing. Or you maybe defensively, you bring a little bit more effort within the rules. Like that's really important.
I say all the time, I will erase your turnover if you cause a turnover.
I like that.
I will erase your turnover if you cause a turnover. If you cause them to turn the ball over or you take a charge, I'll erase that turnover. But I'm big on turnovers, man. You can't have 20 turnovers and try to win a game. It's tough. Like I told them, we need to keep it, in the teams. I'm realistic. This is high school. It's 13, 14, 15. When we start getting to 18 and 19, they're going to capitalize off what? Off of that.
And there's different ways I feel like that you can get that number down. And I'm not saying that my way is right, but I feel like the way that you look at shot selection and turnovers, they can be very similar in how they can either give confidence or scare people to death, take it away. I would rather, and this is just me, I would rather early on in the year us kick it around too much because we're trying to play faster than we're comfortable with and shoot with courage that borderlines insanity early on, because I want them to, one, be able to play fast later on when it matters with control, and I want them to shoot better, make more shots later on with speed and courage. But I feel like if I strangle them or their freedom or confidence early on because I'm upset with those turnovers or I'm mad about the misses early on, I think that handcuffs them later. That's just me, but I think there's other ways where, like from the very beginning, here are our standards. You won't play if you do this. We're going to have consequences if you do this. I think there's a couple ways to go about it.
Yeah, it's been something that I could say since getting there, that's what I've been having to work on with them about, just with, what you were talking about and just getting them to understand that part of it. And, when you're taking on a new team, players, they try to should I listen to them? Should I not? Hey, I was doing what I was doing before. Yeah. I was doing, but like I told them, I said, I'm not trying to change the game. I'm trying to enhance it. That's all I'm trying to do and get your basketball IQ up. I say, because the first thing that they try to say is, just in Dallas, oh man, kids, they don't have basketball IQ. They just play one way. You've got to be able to run a set. You got to be able to do it. You got to be able to think. You got to be able to make the right pass. Like I tell them, I say, if he's open, like you said, give him the ball.
Yeah.
That's, back to pick it back off the turnovers. This is my quote I always say. Would you rather a 2-foot pass or a 2-foot shot? I want that 2-foot shot, because a 2-foot pass, that means, guess what? The defender is playing both of you. He's going to get a deflection. So go ahead and shoot it. So now, guess what? Your teammate can get what? The putback. Don't try to make a pass 2 feet away from you. I say when guys do that, I say there's nothing wrong with being unselfish. But you have my permission to shoot a layup versus trying to do a wraparound pass, and you had a wide open layup. Don't do that.
I think that concept is really good, though. Again, and that concept can fit in any type of style or continuity. It's just the right decision, and that is ultimately what's tough about what you do and what I do, is that our success is dependent on teenagers' decisions. and we need them to do the right ones. And I want to go back to something, combine two things that you said, one early on and one just a little bit ago, about Vaders and X's and O guys. You earlier on, you said you have to learn as a coach and be willing to learn and grow. And I thought about self-awareness. Self-awareness is a superpower, and we need to be self-aware enough to know, am I heavy on the motivation and then less on the execution? Am I all about the 50 plays, but I can't get them to play hard or buy in or believe? Like, be self-aware enough to see where we need to grow, because we're not perfect or great typically in both. And then you go out and you listen, you learn, you go to Houston, you ask questions at a coach's class, like you do all those things that you were talking about doing. But I've seen people, and maybe in myself too, great in one area or the other, but blind to the fact that they're not where they should be or could learn from in another. I don't know what I'm trying to get at there. I just think more of like, we need to be self-aware to know where we're at and where we need to improve.
One thing about it, I'm not turning down no coaching clinics. They had a coaching clinic. I was just at the Dallas Mavs coaching clinic. I was there here recently. They had one at their practice facility. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of stuff I did not take because that's an NBA style.
But that's okay. And I feel the fact that you know that is a sign of that you have your own style. You know what works with your players. Because a danger, even listening to all of these hoop talks, is that I try to do everything.
Yeah.
You can't do everything, coach.
Bits and pieces. I'm going to tell you this. I was a fan of the 1-3-1 zone, full court. I used to do a full court press in it. Then I used to drop back into that. I got that from Greg Marshall in Wichita State. I worked an elite camp up there years ago. And he gave me a DVD with the whole practice. And I watched it. So when I was doing middle school, that's all I ran. And then when I started coaching with Nick, I said, Nick, we need to run 1-3-1. He looked at me like, man, I'm not running no 1-3-1. We don't do that here. I was like, oh, my bad. So the crazy part about it, true story, I'll never forget, we were playing against South Oak Cliff at Kimball, and we were playing at South Oak Cliff, and it was a hostile game, and we were up by 1 point. Coach Mays had called a timeout. So we came out on our offense. On our defense, we were man-to-man. He called a timeout. So I knew he didn't have any more timeouts left. I said, Nick, go to a 1-3-1. He like, 1-3-1? I said, he has no timeouts. It's 8 seconds left in the game. His kids are not going to know what we are in. All you have to do is get in it. They're going to waste time, and they're going to do something desperate and just throw up some stuff. Well, we didn't come out, man. He was like, all right, we came out 1-3-1. And everybody was, even Coach Mays was like, 1-3-1? They don't do that. So the kid, he inbounded the ball. We was so long in it. At times, started counting down. That kid drove, and it was a guy cutting back door. He threw the ball so high because we had that guard back there jumping at the same time. The ball hit the wall, out of bounds, game over. And I remember he told me, he said, man, what made you do that? I said, well, yeah, I thought about when we beat Lincoln at Pink, when we were coaching at Pinkston, and they had LeBron Nash, who was a McDonald's All-American, and Keaton Miles. Leonard Bishop didn't have any timeouts. And London Love had told his assistant coach, McGee, hey, man, if it gets late in the game, he doesn't have an offense for his own offense. So once again, same situation. We were in man. He calls a timeout. McGee was like, hey, no. Get out of man. Go to a 2-3 zone. Nick was like, because we do not play zone when he was there. It's like a no-no. And we came out in a 2-3 zone, and the kid looked, he dribbled, he attacked, and he tried to make a bounce pass in the zone. He got stolen. We won the game, man. And, I just look at it like that. I went back to that play. Then I thought about it. He doesn't have any timeouts. The game of basketball, especially when you're coaching against a good coach It's like playing chess. It's about making the right move at the right time. My motto is if I can get you calling timeouts all the time, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're eventually going to have to stop calling them because you're trying to hold on to at least one or two for the fourth quarter. I used to tell Nick, this is my motto. You can't take them home and they don't roll over to the next game.
Like that. One reminder that I always have on my board for before a season, and I don't think I do a very good job, is if the other team calls a timeout, and this is something Coach Bliss did back in the day, he would say to us, he's like, they call a timeout, we come over, and, let's say we're on defense or even whatever it is, but the next defensive possession, he say, hey, let's take this timeout, and he would do this. He'd like ball it up and let's throw it away. The whole thing is changing defenses. So we would never be in the same defense when they called a timeout, whether it was out of bounds, baseline out of bounds, full court, whatever it was, because they spent the last 30 seconds drawing this up. It's going to work. And then we're in something completely different. I know it and I write it down, but then I think I get stubborn. And I'm like, we've been guarded, man. We can guard this. I don't care what we're talking about things. Why not just flip it, take them out of take what the control that the coaches think they have over what's about to happen. But I just got to remember it when you're talking about that, like, it's really smart. I need to do a better job in those situations.
The thing about it, when we would go, let's say we were going man to man, we would jump track. Okay. Coach called a timeout. We just got 3 steals in a row. We got 2 dunks and a layup. Well, guess what? We're going to go to a 1-2-2 or 2-2-1. Guess what's going to eventually happen again? That coach really doesn't want to burn another timeout. But if 2 turnovers happen, guess what happens? We get a good trap, you get another turnover. Now, guess what you do? You get out of that, you just go, man, pick up 94-50 for a while.
Yep.
Because whenever he drew up, 5 possessions later, those kids have what? Forgotten.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
It's gone. It's gone. Yes.
The JAMODI podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products.
Coach, the speed round. These are going to be quick questions. The first thing that pops in your head, blurt it out.
Okay, and we go.
Ready? Favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla.
Any toppings?
No.
Nope.
Not at all.
Greatest shooter of all time?
Ray Allen.
Over Steph.
Yeah. He's in my era.
That's fair. It's sometimes, and there's another question coming, Coach, down the list that has a lot to do with when you were in high school or college, like when were you growing up watching the game? But this is a new one. Not sure I feel about it. Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero?
If you don't have one, you could pass.
Probably have to say, I grew up watching Superman.
It's a good one to have. Best basketball movie of all time?
Blue Chips.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Better Hoosiers.
Yeah, I like them both. I think Blue Chips is up there. The term best is hard because they're different, but both are good. Top 3 dinner guests that you like to have from, and they can be from any time period.
Top 3 dinner guests. Probably Magic Johnson, Kobe if he was still alive. And I used to be a 49ers fan, Joe Montana.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Texting or talking?
Both. I'm a talker, so it's my question.
Depends on who it is, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we're both in Texas. For high school, shot clock or no shot clock?
Shot clock. And we went to Atlanta and played in Atlanta. I liked it.
Yeah.
The game's fast. But this is what you have to do. You have to literally do a countdown. You have to teach your players that's on the bench to start counting down. So the guys out there would know because they're not looking up there. They're not used to doing it.
That's a good point. Yeah. Favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving. We have to deal at my mom's house back in Shreveport. My mom and dad's house, and she cooks this big spread, and man, we eat really good.
That's good. You're up 3 on defense with 5 seconds left. Do you foul or no foul?
I'm up 3 on defense with 5 seconds left. I don't. It all depends on what's the foul count.
Well, if so you're up 3. If you foul them, they shoot 2 free throws.
I'm gonna tell you this.
So the whole idea is you let them shoot the 3, and if they make you go to overtime, or do you foul and put them on the line where you can, if they make both, obviously you're up 1, but they're going to try to make one, probably miss one. Can you rebound? So that's kind of that dilemma.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into that. Putting them on the line, bad stuff happens. Me personally, I know me with my mindset. If they're going full court, man, I'm probably going to a 2-2-1. And all I'm gonna do is make them go bop, 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 back and forth, match up.
Yeah.
As soon as they make 2 passes, match up to the nearest person.
I like the idea of trusting our defense a little bit more than putting them on the line. There's so many ways to look at it. I also think, too, high school is different than college and NBA, where the shooters are so good. I'd like to see if a high school kid can hit it, especially if you're talking about probably from deep and uncomfortable. 2 more. Favorite place to travel?
I love going to Vegas. I always have a good time in Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas, LA, New Orleans, pretty much. When time permits, I like to travel, but I'm pretty sure now with me being a head coach, I won't be going as many places as I was before.
Yeah. Last one, in basketball as a player, who is the GOAT?
This is probably going to blow your mind, but I am a diehard Lakers fan, and I wore his jersey number in high school, and my brother wore his jersey number 2, Magic Johnson.
Wow.
He made guys around him into all-stars. If you take James Worthy and put him on somebody else's team, he is not a Hall of Famer. I think he probably has a decent career. Take a guy like Byron Scott. I don't think he's where he is. Michael Cooper probably floats around from team to team. Kareem was already there.
And he was on the decline, really. I mean,
Kareem, he's in late 30s. I just really feel he made everyone around him better. He was a triple-double nightmare. And people fail to realize Magic could have got 30 points a game if he really wanted to. He could actually score the ball. But, to me, it's either all day him or Kobe. Like, I like Matt. I like Jordan. Don't get me wrong. I respect his game. I feel he's a really good player. I like LeBron as well. But those 2, I guess 2, the Lakers, my dad, man, that's the only team we could stay up late for and watch. The games were coming on so late. He would be like, yeah, you can go ahead and watch the Lakers. But anybody else? Nah.
Yeah, I appreciate that look at the GOAT and why. And I think there has to be a little bit more to it than just stats.
Right.
Because if it's just stats, well, then, okay, it's LeBron. Most points and everything. Now that he's a Laker, though, does that change things at all for you? Or you don't count this?
He's in my top 5.
He made it into your top 5 since he's a Laker.
5, just based off of everything that he's achieved. You got to think about it. He didn't win a lot of championships, but he's been to 9 or 10 of them. That's really hard to do and play at a high level at 39 years old. You see guys on the decline. It just seems he's getting better, but he's getting smart each year. Mm-hmm. He knows how to conserve his body. He knows when to come alive. He doesn't have to get a boatload of points all at once. He can pace himself, and then when the fourth quarter comes, he might get you for 15 or 18.
I've always been a LeBron fan, but I understand some of the criticisms over the years, and for maybe how he would defer at the end of games, not always be willing to maybe take the big shot, or sometimes just seem to almost be not as aggressive. But watching him this summer in the Olympics and how much he cared and how hard he was playing and how fired, like that to me, and I love that about this whole Olympic team that we just had, was how hard those dudes want and how bad they wanted it and how hard they were playing, and the spirit that you saw from these millionaires that have played thousands of hours. It was the most important thing. And I thought LeBron was a big reason for that whole feeling throughout that team.
He pretty much set the tempo. He was the standard, and he pretty much told everybody, hey, man, you guys, this is what we got to do. I've been here before several times. We need to step it up and play a little bit harder. And I think that's what they did. That once Kevin Durant got there, he was healthy enough to play. Then Steph came along, but you notice each one of them had a game in them.
Yeah.
Those three guys were really, really carrying them, and everybody else just kind of filled in with their role, and that's what you have to do sometimes. And at the end of the day, it's about getting the win. And nobody asks, how did you win? They just want to know if you won. That's all.
That's it. Coach, this has been so enjoyable, man, to get to know you and a little bit more about your style. And I think so excited to watch you at the great James Madison High School to see. I've heard that a bunch. And when I was looking through stuff, it's even written that way, like in newspapers and stuff. So, but really just enjoyed this so much, getting to talk with you, and really appreciate your time.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on. And if you ever want to have me on in the future, I definitely will come back.
Are you saying part 2 is possible in the future?
Hey, part 2 is possible. I like talking basketball. I can talk basketball all night, all day. I'm a little different. When I coach something, I'm kind of OCD. I don't know why, but I give it my all. I really care about it. I want to know who's the best players in the area, who's the best players in the country. I watch basketball over in Europe. I take bits and pieces. I'm always on the internet trying to find something to help me as a coach and to help the student athletes. Always. Like, I have a group text. I'm always sending them stuff. Hey, this is some drills, some things that you guys can do at home. We don't have access to a gym all the time.
Yeah.
This is some stuff you can do at home. If you have a basketball, dribble outside. Everybody has concrete around them somewhere.
Everybody has earth. So there's no excuse, even on vacation. But man, I feel like we can just keep rolling. But thank you again, and just good luck this season, Coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.